I was one of the 5 students that was chosen to embark on a once-in-a-lifetime trip to Xizhou in the spring of 2017. This amazing program is called Microcampus, and it gives SAS students the opportunity to experience life outside of a bubble for a month. During our stay in Xizhou, each person is required to complete something called an inquiry project. Before embarking on the trip, students need to choose a topic to study in Xizhou. Here, they will then gather more information by communicating with locals and finding out more about their topic. The topic is local legends, spirits, and stories, but after some time in Xizhou, I decided that I wanted to study jama, a type of traditional and religious wood block printing. Throughout the video, I have incorporated my own hand-drawn jama to represent my journey and learning in my time here. In order to understand my personal journey and growth of learning about traditional woodblock printing called jama, one must consider 3 time frames. Before my arrival in Xizhou, my first awkward steps in Xizhou, and after I had settled into my new home. Before coming to Xizhou, I was looking through the long list of topics. I was originally interested in studying the food in the area, but I decided to go with the local legends, spirits, and stories. After talking to Mr. T about my topic during one of our meetings, I decided that I wanted to investigate the 5 histories in the area and what religious roles they played on the society. However, I had a lot of trouble finding background information on the internet, and nobody else did an inquiry project remotely related to 5 histories. Nevertheless, I still had high hopes and figured that I could gather most of my information at Xizhou. I was pretty confident and thought it wouldn't be as hard as I thought. However, my whole mindset completely changed when I finished my first inquiry session with teacher support. It made me realize how challenging the next month would be. My first session was with Miss Song, and we traveled to the nearby temples to see if they could tell me some stories. I was nervous and could not understand what they were talking about due to their super thick accents. I was frustrated because everyone around me had a great first session and got a lot of information while I had no idea what was going on. I also realized that I didn't find FICO Streets very interesting, so I didn't really have a focus. However, Mr. T introduced me to Mr. Du, one of the antique dealers in Xizhou. He was really nice and I got a lot of information from him. He told me many stories about his antiques, most of them were statues, and I ended up with a lot of information about the gods. However, I still didn't know what my focus was. Without a focus, I didn't know what questions to ask, and conversations were a lot harder. I was really frustrated and confused. However, it all changed when I stumbled into Mr. Dian's gallery. Miss Mai and I went to the Linden Center in hopes of finding some staff that knew some stories. However, this led to meeting Mr. Tian, who had a huge gallery of jama. Jama is basically little paper charms printed by carved wooden blocks. They are used in many different ways, such as burning it as offerings or putting it on the front door. I knew immediately that I wanted jama to be my focus. With the goal in mind, I met Mr. Young from the Old House Cafe. He had previously worked with other students similar to us, and he gave me a book all about jama. According to Mr. Young, jama was originally a Han tradition, but later spread to the Bai minority and became a big part of their culture. The conversations became a lot easier, and I knew exactly what I wanted to ask and know about. I started feeling more confident and excited to go do inquiry work every day. I was getting used to their accents and I could figure out what certain words meant. I learned a lot about communicating with people and I gradually became more comfortable. I went back to Mr. Du's place since he had a large collection of jama. The conversation was a lot smoother and I got all the information I needed. After I talked to everyone in Xizhou that knew about jama, I decided to find a jama master. I've talked to multiple people, and they all said that there weren't any people who carve and print jama for a living in Xizhou. The song Miss Mai and I went to the village that was 20 minutes away to find Mr. Zhang, one of the 2 jama masters relatively nearby. I learned a lot of interesting things about him and about jama. Mr. Zhang is the 7th generation and has been carving for around 30 years, and he was taught by his father. Women aren't allowed to learn how to carve because most people believe that since most women are married off, there is no use in teaching them. Mr. Zhang taught me how to print jama, which is extremely fun and interesting. Apparently, pearwood is very common in jama blocks due to its durability and its attainability. I also learned that you have to wait for 2 to 3 years to carve a piece of wood. If you don't, the wood will start splitting. Talking to Mr. Zhang allowed me to learn more about jama and also made it extremely intriguing. After all my experiences, I can say that jama is truly an interesting part of the bi-minority culture. The style of the pictures are very unique and beautiful. I hope people appreciate how much of an impact it makes in Shijo's culture. Microcampus has taught me so many lessons and shoved me outside of my comfort zone. The time I've spent before coming to Shijo and my awkward first steps have allowed me to finally settle in. I've done things that I would have never done in Shanghai, and in return, I got an experience that I will never forget.